Monkey D. Dragon has finally overcome his deadbeat father allegations. As for over 18 years, Dragon has been spying and following Luffy around so that his revolution to change the world can begin. Every single action that Kuma has made to save the Straw Hats now all makes sense. As older in One Piece chapter 1101 revealed Dragon's biggest weakness and why he pretended to get milk vanishing to never meet Luffy. That's a bit like us as we kind of disappeared. We're all weekly reviews too. Listen, the reason we didn't cover oldest peak fiction in the past few weeks was because I got addicted to Honkai Impact 3rd. It's returning back 3 years from the current story. We see Kuma, who has already begun his modification surgery in Mount Kulabul at Dawn Island, spying on Luffy. Why? Well, we get another flashback of Kumar discussing with Dragon on what he saw. Yep, back in one of the trips in Goa, Dragon somehow knew too much about this kingdom, and that was quite suspicious for Kumar. But what was more interesting was he have a sword. Dragon spying on a little boy, always visiting him in a village outside of the country. Dragon responds in a sunder fashion, telling Kumar that trying to pair into his business is the same as killing him direct. This is where Dragon reveals that this boy he's watching over is none other than his own child. Dragon states that parents' child is their weakness. Kumar understands and backs off. This message will stick with him many years going down the line. Now we have only seen Dragon in a cold manner, where he's always looking at the bigger picture with barely any emotions. But with this one panel, Older just gave us so much depth to his character. He does care about people around him, especially his family, but he understands that if he wants them to live happy lives, he has to sacrifice his time with them in order to keep them safe from the dangers that the world government and Emu pose. However, even Dragon, the man who didn't risk it all to save Jenny, couldn't keep the love for his child in check. So periodically, he would go and check on his boy's progress, from far, probably behind a tree. With Dragon being to be watching over Luffy, like this is no surprise that he showed up in Logtown just as Luffy was about to set sail on the greatest adventure of his life, and with Dragon helping him there. I wonder if whilst Luffy was being trained by Garp, thrown into cliffs and jungles with dangerous wild animals, if Dragon helped him there too. But regardless, we also know that Dragon had kept contact with his father Garp and told him that he saw his son all this time. Dragon was like a guardian angel for Luffy. However, the reason for Dragon not outright meeting his son is pretty obvious. Because being the most wanted man in the whole world and having the world government as your enemy means that they will try to pull every weakness. You have to make, you surrender. And as Dragon says to Kumar, Luffy is that weakness. Meaning if Luffy were to get captured or taken, just like we have seen with Kumar moving heavens and earth to protect Bonney, even giving up his consciousness, Dragon would likely do the same. It would also be very dangerous for Luffy. As we know, the government does impose the sins of the father upon the child. We've seen this with the Marines trying to hunt down Ace's mother Rogue to end the Pirate King's bloodline. But this brings the question, why would Dragon even conceive Luffy? I mean, he was already so dedicated to the revolutionaries, especially after the Ohara incident 22 years ago. So all of a sudden, 19 years ago, bro smashed a girl like it don't make no sense. Well, maybe it was just true love, someone that he really adored from his childhood. My man has to have his progeny. Can't be stopping that shit. However, it's also possible that another reason Dragon kept going to the Go Kingdom was to check on Luffy's progress and whether he could be beneficial to the revolutionaries or not. As the community also has a theory about how during Luffy's birth, his DNA could have been altered by Dragon and Regapunk to mimic the properties of Joy Boy, which in the future is the reason why the hero Hitanami Nika ended up seeking him out. Because we know from chapter 1044, the fruit was running from the government's clutches as if it's new, they weren't meant to have it. So Dragon, who is a former high-ranking Marine, and knowing the secrets of Nika from his time at Mary Joy and knowledge from Kumar, tried to give Luffy a Nika buff. However, after Luffy was born, his love for his child was so great that he didn't want to impose upon his own ideals, just like his father Garp has done by turning him into a Marine. So he let Luffy be in Fuchsia Village where he could form his own sense of justice. Well, I don't know about this theory, as Luffy being a tested baby is mind-blowing. But this is One Piece regardless. As Dragon's deadbeat dad allegations gets cleared, we come back to Kumar overhearing a 16-year-old Luffy training, saying how he will be ready for whenever someone will try to take his crew away from him. This statement later sticks with Kumar as he protects Luffy's crew from Quezero, who is about to do exactly that. But just as Kuma was leveling up his talks Normie, he gets a call from the world government, which is instantly noticed by Luffy, who senses Kuma's presence as one of the strongest beasts in the entire forest. This is an early hint at Luffy's true Haki potential, where even without knowing what Haki is, he's able to sense the strong will of Kuma and wants to defeat this great beast. But Luffy doesn't get his chance, where even without knowing what Haki is, he's able to sense the strong will of Kumar and wants to defeat this greater beast. But Luffy doesn't get his chance as Kumar uses his poor powers to blip out of there, right into helping a merchant ship that was being attacked by pirates following the orders of the Marines. As Kuma is going around doing the world government's dirty work, he has been also writing letters to Bonney, telling her how much he loves her, and giving her stories of all the amazing islands that they will both travel together in the future. Now this is of course never gonna happen. Kuma made a deal with the devil like literally. In order to heal Bonney, he has given up on his own free will and consciousness. Just like he initially lied to Bonney about her being able to play in the sun when she turns 10, he is just sending her all the love and hope he can whilst his mind is intact. Likewise, it's possible that their stories might too come into reality regardless. The cruelty of the government doesn't stop there because all of these letters that Kuma was sending Bonney were being intercepted by this government. Bozo Alpha. We see Bonney waiting for Kuma's letters every day, but they never came. He can't give. But interestingly, we also get a glimpse of Bonney's Nika powers. Well, not exactly, but we'll get to that because first we move to Kumar, who visits Vegapunk's lab again where he meets Stassi's clone, who makes an interesting remark, asking which one has more of a checkered faith, a human with no consciousness or a clone with consciousness. Now this statement is thematically in line with the arc, which tries to tackle the pitfalls of technology. Since the real Stassi is still alive, clones Stassi is simply a placeholder, and if more clones Stassi can just be created over and over again, then she is simply expendable, meaning her value as a human is logically diminished if they can just clone another one. We see this callous viewpoint to cloning with Sanji's father Judge in regards to his German clone army, where each and every soldier is nothing but fodder with no freedom at all, since their values to Germer is like that of a crate of ammunition or just another simple weapon. Here we also learn that Vegapunk Big Head is gone and replaced with the Apple antenna, meaning all of his satellites are active at this point, or at least some of them, bringing us back to Vegapunk, who interjects, telling us to see that she is human after all. Vegapunk is betting on this fact when separating his consciousness in the other clones. But Kuma isn't at Egghead for sightseeing, he is there for more modifications to his body and mind. Vegapunk says that soon Kuma won't have any memories or emotions left, but he will keep Kuma's consciousness active until the very last minute, where only 1 year remains until this surgery is completed. This is the reason the Straw Hats got away at Thriller Bark and Shibari, as Kuma, after witnessing Dragon's son and Dawn Island, imprinted in his consciousness that Luffy is his friend's Dragon's son. So he helped him just like Dragon had helped his daughter through Vegapunk. Now there's also the idea that Kuma, once he saw Luffy at Dawn Island, straight away understood Luffy has the power of Nika. Seeing him stretch his body and be robbery was a sure hint to this. But during this year we not only saw Kumar helping the government, but also the Revolutionary Army. However, he would never talk to them at all. This is a man who was duty-bound to be a dog warlord for the sake of Bonney, whilst at the same time, since his consciousness is barely intact, is trying to wash away those sins by helping the revolutionaries back in Sorbet Kingdom. Though, Bonney celebrates her 9th birthday, but she still hasn't received any letters from Kumar. After a year at age 10, Bonney is finally healed and can walk into the sun just as Kumar had promised her all those years ago. However, Alpha won't let Bonney leave, so our sweet old Granny Connie finds out that Alpha is actually a CP agent who was there to keep Bonney as a hostage. So she hatches up a plan to take Bonney to the sea, uniting her with her father once and for all. They fix up a fisherman ship and convert it into a pirate ship decorated like a pizza. Similar to Bonney's ship in the current story, the Margarita, but I don't think they're the same one yet. Oh, and Bonney in the current story is slightly just 13 to 14 years old. Luffy is around 7 years older than her, which means somebody kind of called the FBI on Sanji. But moving back, Bonney and Connie switches clothes, and Bonney steps outside for the very first time in her life with the sun beaming at her skin. However, as she reaches the ship, the evil CP witch clocks what they are planning and uses Gibbo to catch up to Bonney. But this is the moment we get to witness just how broken Bonnie's double fruit really is, where she can literally tap into Sun God Nika. We thought she could just use her fruit to age her body and others, right? Well, there seems to be more to her powers through her little manifesting. A Gear 3-like attack with her gigantic arms that she conjures up through her imagination alone of how Sun God Nika would have fought. Now Bonney of course doesn't know what Nika looks like, so she simply turned into what she thinks Nika is supposed to be. And who is the only person that has shown her what Nika could be? Her father, a buccaneer. And Bonney doesn't actually know that she isn't Kuma's biological child. So as she grows, she would expect that she would turn big and strong like her daddy. Hence why she's able to age herself to have giant arms like a buccaneer. But more importantly, Kumar telling her that Nika fought however he liked, which is robbery powers, was the catalyst to her using this attack. Remember guys, devil fruits manifest through people's imaginations and dreams. So Bonney, who sees herself as a buccaneer, ages herself, resulting in a giant arm which bobbed a CP agent in one shot. This power is called Distortion Future, meaning that Bonney can distort any to any shape she can imagine. However, with Bonney's power being this broken, she will play an integral part in defeating Satin in Egghead Island. Although Gear 5 Luffy is one of the strongest fighters we have yet seen in the series, he has a huge disadvantage currently being his time limit, where he turns into an old man for 32 seconds in the middle of his Gear 5. But Kaido, they both sat down and had a little chat, giving Luffy enough time to get his heart pumping. But against Satin, he will go straight for the kill. Bonney's powers has to do with affecting one's age. So as Luffy turns into an older man, Bonney can swoop in and age him, giving him a much needed boost to finally defeat Satin. This also makes perfect sense if we look at all the different arcs in One Piece, where in the final fight Luffy is aided by the damsel of that arc. For example, against Crocodile he did have help from Robin and even. In the final fight, Luffy is aided by the damsel of that arc. For example, against Crocodile he did have help from Robin and even Vivi, and in Dressrosa Gear, poor Luffy couldn't quite finish the job as he ran out of haki for 10 minutes. It was Rebecca and Viola who helped stall Duffy until Luffy came back to fight him with his renewed Gear 4. Same thing happened in Vanu, where Momonosuke and Yamato stalled Kaido whilst Luffy ate food and recovered. A similar theme will happen here with Bonney, whose whole life was turned upside down because of Satin kidnapping. Her mom will have a major hand in his defeat. With her distortion powers and how she imagines Nika, she can give a huge boost to the actual Nika. There is also the fact that the original Kuma is flying straight to Bonney. As we speak all his life, he wanted to be a hero like Sun God Nika, and after losing his consciousness when Bonney will need a hero the most, Kuma will come to fulfill his dreams. Bonney's power might not even be for Luffy, but for her own father, so he can live out his dream of being Sun God Nika. This will give them enough time to escape or Luffy to regain his strength to finally end things. Subscribe for more videos.